But let's get talking a little more on the fundamentals of the market. Mayuresh Joshi, Fund Manager, Angel Broking, joins in now. Mayuresh, hi. Thanks very much for joining in. We've spoken a lot about TechM as well as Cipla. So let's talk about the numbers that are expected then. Between Bajaj Auto, Ashok Leyland as well as Larsen & Toubro, which one are you expecting the most positive numbers from and why?
Morning, Ekta. I think if you go by what the analysts on the streets are expecting, Ashok Leyland is expected to post a 30% volume growth. This will be primarily driven by the MHCV segment growing at 34%. The LCV will contribute a 10% odd contribution to the volumes. What really happens with the margin is going to be very interesting for Ashok Leyland. They're expecting more than 12% to come through, more or less to do with the operating leverage that can synergize Ashok Leyland's business with the MHCV segment contribution. But largely, I think the profitability will also include a one-off from the sale of IndusInd Bank. So I think Ashok Leyland's number is expected to be strong. Bajaj Auto, on the other hand, expected to post a strong set of numbers as well in terms of how the volumes are expected to pan out. Close to 11.7, 11.8% bump up in volumes. Two-wheelers, again, I think what has happened with the relaunched versions or the new variants of Avenger and Pulsar are going to be extremely interesting to watch out for. What happens with the EBITDA margins anywhere between 20-21.5%. I think that is going to be an interesting trend to watch out for, and the management commentary thereof, specifically in relation to the international business. For L&T, I think my specific take is that the consolidated order flow that you're probably looking at, they might miss their guidance that they had given out. For a flattish guidance, they're expected to do around 61,900 crores. My own take is that they'll report orders of anywhere between 57,000 to 57,200 crores, which will be a miss. But again, I think the management commentary in terms of how the domestic execution will happen going forward, the working capital constraints, we've already seen that peak off around 25% in our opinion. I think those are going to be key trigger points. What happens with the infrastructure segment? A lot of projects had not reached the revenue threshold in the last quarter. They're expected to do so in this quarter. That should have a positive effect in terms of top line. Expected to grow at 12.5%. Our own take is EBITDA margins to be around 13.3%, and bottom line touching that 2,100 crore mark on a standalone basis.
Okay. Mayuresh, hi, good morning. Two stocks which are reacting negatively to earnings, Amara Raja and Bajaj Finance. How are you positioned on these two stocks?
Again, I think operationally, if you look at how the stocks are getting positioned, specifically in the case of Amara Raja, I think a lot of expansion has happened over the last few quarters. We've actually seen volumes grow in that time period, and now what happens going forward with the tubular battery segment coming through. Our own take is that earnings growth should be quite reasonable, though the earnings again were a little bit disappointing in terms of how the operating performance has been. Our own take is over a longer run, the expected top line should grow around 18-19%. You should have EBITDA margin sustained going forward. What happens with the industrial component, specifically on the telecom part, with a lot of capex coming through, that should have significant improvement as well. So I think remain optimistic on Amara Raja from a long-term perspective.
Okay, fair enough. We have Tata Steel, which is reporting its numbers today as well, Mayuresh. What are you expecting? And obviously commentary will be top of mind with what's happening with the UK asset sales.
Oh yes, I think that's going to be the primary thing that a lot of analysts and observers on the street are going to watch out for. But largely, I think if you draw out the next couple of years for Tata Steel, and if one really assumes the stake sale to go through, you're probably looking at reducing losses coming through from the European division. On the domestic side itself, I think you're expecting a significant volume push through happening. The Kalinganagar expansion, which has started happening in phases, should have a significant fillip in terms of how volume growth is expected to lay out for Tata Steel. What happens with realizations, a lot of safeguard duties, MIP imposition will basically entail that whatever volume push through happens will happen at higher level. The high cost iron inventory that Tata Steel had on its book on the domestic business is largely out of the way. So I think it's going to be more operational efficiencies on the domestic business. International, again, I think with the stake sale expected to come through over the next few weeks, and largely I think this is what one really expects. The Chinese demand supply, I think those performance might be a little bit of a one-offs over the next 2 quarters. But again, I think it's largely in the price, in my opinion. So I think management commentary is going to be extremely crucial and critical for Tata Steel.
Okay, by the way, the market is again at the high point of the day, and it's been that kind of a market at every 15 and 20 minutes making a fresh intraday high. And what will be interesting right now is to pull out the contribution plate. There's only one index loser, Cipla, which is dragging the market by 3 points. Other than that, if you look at the contribution plate, this is just the kind of day that the bulls love, because it's not being driven by one single stock. The largest contributor is HDFC, which is 15 points in a 130-point rally. And then you have ICICI Bank, Infosys, HDFC Bank. A lot of these stocks TCS, Larsen & Toubro, ITC, a lot of these stocks contributing in big numbers, so looking quite strong right now. 78.75 is what we have. And just pull out that graphic again on that 7900 call, which is where my sense is that a lot of open interest was built on the short side, and the covering is now really relentless. 459% surge in premium. Just to put things in perspective, if you bought this call yesterday, even at the highest point of the day, you would be making about 4.5 times in today's trade. But Mayuresh, going forward, what do you think can take leadership for market at index level? What do you think is going to lead the market, say, above 8,000 and higher than that?
No, I think significantly the banks have to perform in a big manner, and what you've probably seen out of the PSU banks so far have not been great. But again, I think the markets were largely factoring in that Q4 would be largely similar to Q3. The pain might persist for a couple of quarters more going into this fiscal. But largely, if one really assumes credit growth to start picking up by the second half, a lot of the earnings pain on the asset quality basically to subside, you're probably looking at the banking index contributing in a significant manner going forward. If monsoons are much better, my own take is that a lot of consumer stocks, both on the staples as well as on the discretionary part, should start doing well. And again, I think the capital goods sector should start reviving. So the government capex very much in plan. If the private capex follows over the next 2 to 3 quarters, my own sense is that the capital goods industry, which has been languishing or rather beleaguered for a long period of time, with expected order flows improving, the margins and cash flows should improve. So again, I think the banking sector, in my opinion, should start contributing significantly if one really needs to have a fillip in terms of our earnings are expected to pan out.
Okay. All right. Fair enough, Mayuresh. We're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. Well, Anuj, it's, the Asian markets